Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about creating a custom report inside of your Payflow site here so that you can view all of the information in one report. Creating a custom report that enables you to have the one report that you can ultimately give to the person on your team that would reconcile credit card transactions and also be the one confirming that credit card transactions went through. So to create a custom report, we log into Payflow and then we hit the reports button up here at the top. So upon logging in, it's going to load up the reports here. From here, we go ahead and we hit custom report here. And this will give us a screen where we can go through and create a custom report for us to view the information that we need to reconcile. So let's go ahead and name this template. I'm just going to call this one custom report. Now with the naming, it cannot have a space between it. It has to be all one word to use the Payflow naming here. So I went and put the name right there. And now we can go through and I can select the date range. I'm going to leave the date range alone because the date range is going to be changed every day as I go in when I set the dates that I want to view in a report. I can also go down and select my time zone so that I have the time of the transactions in the correct time zone. I can select the card types or transaction types. I'm going to leave these all checked for right now. I'm also going to leave all users. Here I can have my minimum amount and my maximum amount that would show up in the report. I'm going to go ahead and just set this to be 50,000. This way, any transaction that my team runs will show up inside here. There isn't a set limit or anything. Also down here where it has results, I want to go ahead and show all results, not just the approvals. So I come down here and I hit approvals and declines. This way I can set up my report to view all the information I need. And now I'm going to go through and select fields that are going to show up in my report. And I'm going to go through for this example and select every field that the device hits that shows up in here so that you guys can take a look at all the information that the device sends over and use what you need to reconcile. So for example, transaction ID is already there. Well, I'm now going to click account number and send that one over. That actually is the last four of the credit card. The next thing I'm going to send over is the amount, so I can see the amount of the transactions. The authorization code, so that's the authorization code as returned from your processor. The batch ID I'm going to send over. That's actually the batch ID that's going to show up when the transactions batch nightly. They're each going to have a batch ID assigned to it, so I want to send that over as well. From here, I can scroll down a little bit because some of the other fields are below this. So for example, my expiration date. I want to send over the credit card's expiration date so I can link up the cards. Invoice number. That's the invoice number that's in Successware. Also will be here on the device or inside of PayPal so that we can link up the transactions together. I also want to send over the original transaction ID. That's maybe the authorization and the capture shows how they're linked so that you can match up the transactions. Going down, I can send along as well as my pending reason. So if the transaction does not close, the pending reason shows up there. Purchase order number. It's just another invoice field, but this just makes it so that you see all of them. I'm also going to be sending over the response message so that I have the response message there back from our processor, such as approve, decline, pending, whatever it may be. I want to send along the result code so that I know that it went through. I also want to take a look at the settled date so that I can see the date that the transaction settled. And now I'm going to scroll down and send along a little bit more. I'm going to send along the tender type. So this would actually be the type of card in these instances. I'm also going to send along the transaction time. So the time that the transaction, the state. So was it, approved? Was it declined? I'm also going to send along the transaction type. And that is all the information. So going down the list here, I want to make sure that I have account number, amount, authorization code, batch ID, expiration date, invoice number, original transaction ID, pending reason, purchase order number, response message, result code, settled date, tender type, transaction time, transaction state, transaction type. So I get all that to send over. So now at this point, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the report screen here and actually save the template. So now I have a template saved. I want to scroll down a little bit more and I actually want to set the sort by as well. And I'm going to make it so that it sorts by the invoice number. This way it'll link all the transactions together. I have the invoice number there in front of me and I can match it up to my information that's in Successware. So I sort by invoice number and hit Save Template. And at this point I have saved a template that I will use now to view all of my transactions. And now I come down here and I hit Run Report, and this will give me a report, everything on the screen that I need for these transactions. So with that, I see all the information that I need on each one of the transactions. So I have the transaction ID. I have the account numbers right here, so the last four of the credit cards. I have the amount, the authorization codes, the batch ID, expiration date, all this is right here in front of me. Everything that I need, as well as the invoice number. So that's a good report kind of to view all of the information. To use this report at a later date, when I log into Payflow, I would just hit Reports, and it would bring me to Report screen. And then I go ahead and hit Templates and Schedules. And from here, I can go ahead and hit the Edit button right here. So I have my customer report. I hit Edit, and it's going to open up the customer report screen for me. I can go ahead and set the date. So whatever dates I want to run this for example, I'm going to run it back on the 20th here, and I hit Run Report down at the bottom. And this will actually run my whole report for me and put all the information here in front of me. So I have the transaction IDs, the account numbers, the amount, the authorizations, the batch IDs associated with these transactions, the invoice number right here. So that's how I link it up to Successware. And then I have some additional information like the original transaction ID. The purchase order number is also the same as the invoice number, showing that it was approved, when it was settled, the type of card it was, the time the transaction was. Basically, this is all the information I would need to do my reconciliation of credit cards. And if you wanted to, you could actually take this report and actually set it up to be downloaded in a certain text format. If I were to do it in a text with headings, I can hit Go here, and it will actually save this report. What I typically do is I go ahead and save the document in a location that I would need it to be. Save and open here. And by doing so, it then asks me what I want to open it in. And for me, I open it in Excel, and it populates right here with all this information in Microsoft Excel. And then you have that information there in front of you, and you can do what you need to do in a more familiar format. Once you're done, you can close it out, and that's how you would view that report.